Did you know that you can go down to your local Walmart and for the princely sum of $59 US, you can pick up a full auto 50-round belt fed 6 dart per second Nerf dart shooting LMG? Best stop dreaming, this is real life. The Adventure Force Tactical Strike BOXER Pro from Dart Zone seriously looks like anything you would ever need. But before we start emptying Nerf dart belts through it, we gotta unbox it, see how hard it's hitting, test the range, and even do a little modification. 6 darts per second and shoots up to 150 feet. Blaster compatible with Adventure Force Nerf or X-Shot half-length Pro darts. I'm on it. Good morning, Ryder! Zats! Blaster itself with a lot of stuff on it, we'll talk about in a second. Our translucent 50-round, would you call this a box mag? It doesn't have a spring or anything in it, but a box. A beautiful 50-round belt. Eye protection, you're gonna wanna use these because this thing hits really hard. Oh, man. Starting with the blaster itself, we got this big, huge muzzle up at the front of it. No attachment point or anything like that, and it does take up a good portion of the blaster. This is where the flywheel cage is, so everything past this is just, well, cosmetic. That being said, it does come with a bipod that is very stiff, very nice. It's mounted on a Picatinny rail, and the bipod itself even has little rubber pieces on it so it can get some grip. You want to remove it? Slide it down, because the actual Picatinny rail is thin right here, or not really a Picatinny rail, and this is where your rail actually starts. With a stop up here, that locks the bipod into place. And speaking of locking into place, the blaster itself actually has a spot right here that the legs of the bipod can snap into, making you a foregrip, which is very comfortable and very sturdy. Just behind that, we've got the world's smallest Picatinny rail with our removable front sight there. That thing is tiny and there's not a whole lot you're gonna use that for. Then we've got a longer Picatinny rail behind that. And in the middle of our blaster, we've got the little belt locking mechanism that actually has the wheel that pushes the darts out of the belt and into the revolving flywheels. And you can lock that down into place. Oh, I just get tingles every time I do it. Moving towards the back, we do have another Picatinny rail that does have a removable ladder sight, which you can slide back onto the rail. It does have the ability for you to look through the ladder sight and see the front post, or you can flip the ladder sight up and you can actually use the different notches to kind of gauge how far your darts are gonna go with how much angle you're using. The higher you line up your sights, the more angle you give to the blaster, and thus you add an art to your shots that will increase your effective range. On the left side of the blaster, we do have this big, huge, nice motif that does have a lot of painting on it, and it is on both sides of the blaster, but this side specifically has the screw for your battery door, and this thing does take 8 AA batteries, or a surprise I'll show you in a little bit. And then we also have this big Adventure Force button right here, which when we press that, allows us to pull out our adjustable stock. This is maximum right there, and it's not going anywhere. It locks into place really good. But if you want to, it has 5 different adjusting points. At its maximum length, it leaves a little bit to be desired. It's not bad, but I can't actually get my eyes low enough to look through the sight. I'd have to push the sight forward quite a bit. And honestly, it doesn't give you a good cheek weld or anything like that. However, it does work as a stock. And with the blaster fully collapsed, you're looking at about 23 inches. Not bad for an LMG. It could be bigger, but it's just big enough. And then you've got the grip. There is a safety selector switch right there that blocks the rev trigger from working. We put that into fire, we can actually squeeze that rev trigger. And to use it, you do have to fully squeeze the rev trigger, and then as the blaster revs up, you pull the firing trigger and it will fire darts out of it. It is a flywheel blaster. The grip does have this weird angular design to it with a small hole down here that might be the only sling point we see on the blaster. And to be perfectly honest, it is quite small. If you have much larger hands, you're not gonna like this grip. The rev trigger is, however, very clicky and does have a nice texturing to it, with the firing trigger also having a nice satisfying click to it. And then we have our 50-round dedicated short dart belt. This is really cool because we haven't really gotten a pro-level LMG belt-fed thing on store shelves yet. The chain does have these holes in it that allows a little rubber wheel inside the top of the blaster to grab the dart and push it into the flywheels. And on one side you do have a bare pin, and then on the other, you've got a little snap piece, so you can actually snap the belt together so you don't lose it. You don't have to do that if you don't want, but you're gonna have to look kind of hard to figure out which one of the chains is actually the one that has the snap on it. It doesn't break apart anywhere else. So let's load up our 50 darts. Let's take our belt box here and feed our belt into the box. Make sure you have these little holes facing upwards. And our belt box here just kind of slides into and locks into place like that. And this little button right here is the release. Open up our top cover, take our blank link right there, put it in the first tooth, slam that down. You can tighten this up if you want to, but at this point, you're ready to go. At least, you know, once you put the batteries in. And we'll use some brand new copper tops. All right, let's see how this tiger purrs. That's insane. Suppressing fire in 3, 2, 1. Holy crap. Wow. And of course, Dart Zone didn't send me this blaster, so make sure you do all that algorithmic garbage. You like, comment, subscribe, maybe even give the video a hype, because these things don't buy themselves. I love this thing. Okay, we did learn a couple of things right there. One, make sure that your belt actually does properly dispense, because if there's too much belt over here and it can't push out more belt, then it's gonna jam up a little bit. But it does have a clutch mechanism to make sure it doesn't destroy itself. That rate of fire is perfect. And this thing screams like a Nazgul. All of that for the low price of under $60 US. And here I thought Blaster of the Year was already called for. When it comes to power, the BOXER Pro punches above its weight. With the included Adventure Force Pro darts, I got an average of 165 feet per second velocities. Absolutely insane for a $60 off-the-shelf flywheel blaster. The BOXER Pro is well on its way to being a champion. It can go the distance. It also puts out foam faster than its advertised rate of fire, with my testing putting it at 7.8 darts per second. Real talk, that is fast for a $60 belt fed blaster. And the funny thing is, that's not even it. And with those high velocities, you can reach out and touch somebody with a foam dart. This thing will very easily hit 85 plus feet flat, with even the minute of angles giving you over 100 feet. The BOXER Pro is an ogre, and yet we still have more, because the accuracy of the BOXER Pro, for whatever reason, is way better than it has any right to be. And the weirdest thing is, the sights on it actually work extremely well. I was not expecting that at all. It's not pinpoint accurate or anything, but of all the flywheelers I've ever reviewed, the BOXER Pro is up there as one of the most accurate for whatever reason. It's mostly just it has less heavily randomized shots. And when you combine all these things together, you get an absolutely insane foam flinging platform. This blaster's absolutely gonna tear up the foam battlefields. There's more to this blaster, however, because if you look inside the AA battery tray, you will notice 2 Phillips head screws that you can very easily remove, which allows you to lift out the entire battery tray, exposing an XT30 connector, which is the exact same battery connector that the Dart Zone Max Venom Pro uses. That means you can use your Dart Zone Max Venom Pro battery inside your BOXER Pro without any kind of permanent modification. And this drops your velocity to about 145 average and lowers your rate of fire. But of course you can go the opposite direction. Slap in a 3S 11.1 volt battery and your Adventure Force BOXER Pro becomes an absolute demon. The average velocity only increases to about 170 feet per second, but more of your shots are above that 170 mark. And your rate of fire? Nearly 14 darts per second. Is it practical? Not really, but it is insanely fun. So there's lots of ways to tune your BOXER Pro up and down. The internals of the BOXER Pro aren't really all that special. You do have to remove about 24 different screws to get inside, with the most interesting part of the blaster being the feeding mechanism, because you have one small motor that is not only spinning the pusher wheel to feed the darts into the flywheels, but at the same time is geared up to feed the belt through the blaster. That one motor is doing a ton of work. There are a couple of small nagging issues with the BOXER Pro design though. Number one is the belt itself. The fit of the darts is pretty loose. This means if you're even using modestly worn darts, at the very least, you may have a dart fall out of the belt so you have a blank shot, but more often than not, you will have a dart that's like halfway in the belt, even though you pushed it all the way in, and that will cause the entire blaster to jam up while you're firing it. There are a bunch of different creative ways you could address this problem, my favorite being probably just a little dot of super glue in each one of the chambers on the belt to add a little bit more friction, but your mileage is gonna vary on that one. Also, this belt box design, I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but I find this thing extremely frustrating. A lot of the times that I'm running the blaster, if I have the belt delinked, well, it will kind of fall into the box and then kind of stack up and not be able to feed more belt through, and it will jam up because there's just nothing moving on this side of the blaster and it can't actually pull the belt through anymore. On the other side of that, if I actually have the belt clipped together in a completely endless formation, a lot of the times the belt will just kind of miss the hole and just flop out and cause more problems and never fully fire anyway. The solution to both these problems is to just not use the belt box. Let me know if I'm doing something wrong though, because both of mine have this problem. And yes, I did say both, I did buy two of them. In all honesty, these are very minor annoyances that don't really take away from the full package you get here. So who exactly is this blaster meant for? My first suggestion is the support player. Its high rate of fire and large capacity means you can sit behind your team, lock down objectives, cover corridors, take out entire teams if there's a big push. The BOXER Pro will do all of that.
Yeah, but like, why would I ever need that if I've already got an X-Shot motorized piston pump with the 70-round drum?
And now, you've got 100 rounds on tap.
Whatever, bro. I've got drums for days. This is so much more practical.
The BOXER Pro will effortlessly fire through the entire chain, and you can buy separate chains on Dart Zone's website. By the way, I'd love to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, and if you want to see how long of a belt can be fed through the BOXER Pro before something catastrophic happens, and how unpractical it would be, and what's the practical length that could actually be put through this thing, consider supporting my scientific exploits by going to the Dart Zone website and sending a chain or two to the P.O. box that's listed down in the description. And of course, if I get enough of them, I can build some really cool stuff. And this is 100 rounds right here, and wow, it looks pretty big. It's a lot smaller than any drum mag that even holds half as much, and on top of that, it's kind of an amorphous thing, so you can really store it in any way, making the BOXER Pro an extremely flexible platform at the cost of maybe some minor reliability. With the kind of complexities that imparting a belt-fed system into your blaster imparts, this wouldn't be my first choice for a high mobile setup. Nothing's gonna be funnier than you barreling around a corner yelling, "Surprise!" pulling the trigger and nothing coming out of the end. Eat so, mother sucker! Just kidding. There's also the nagging issue of trying to get this thing under the typical 130 feet per second velocities that Humans vs. Zombies is usually played at, which would be an awesome use case for this blaster, and I think you could do it with like 6 AA's and 2 dummy batteries. But because of the hilarious potential for jams and getting tagged by a zombie, I would still kind of put this at a support role. When it works, the zombies are really not gonna like you, but if it jams up, well, hopefully you have some squad mates that can cover you while you unjam the thing. So what do I think about the BOXER Pro? Well, we all thought the X-Shot motorized piston pump was gonna be absolutely unequivocally the best blaster of 2025. And I hate to say it, but I think I'm having more fun with the BOXER Pro. It's a completely different blaster for a completely different play style, but there isn't another belt-fed, high-capacity, high-rate-of-fire pro blaster on store shelves right now. And that means it falls into a completely different category that doesn't compete with the motorized piston pump. So the obvious answer is you're gonna have to get both this year. Bar none. The BOXER Pro isn't perfect, but it is a ton of fun, and it is highly effective when it's utilized in its correct role. And whatever issues it may have can probably be fixed really easily with a little creative engineering. But keep in mind, it is going to be a Walmart exclusive, at least in the US. The BOXER Pro is an absolute knockout.